Get you? Get you?
私、こういうものですが。
Hey everybody, welcome back to Game Esoterica, a continuing series, the PlayStation 2 Palace, where I take a look at some of my favorite PlayStation 2 games of all time, and they're deeper cut games that are never going to show up on a best top 10 list of all time on the internet. And today we have Garoden Breakblow, Fist or Twist. I'm going to tell you right off the top, this is the weirdest thing I have ever played, and I've been playing it for years, but it's also one of the most intriguing, most visually unique, and most mechanically interesting fighting games on the PlayStation 2, and you know I love fighting games, especially if they're weird. Before we get too far involved though, do me a huge favor, go down below, hit like and subscribe, and that notification bell definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, we got a Patreon link down below as well. But right off the top, this is based on a manga that I know absolutely nothing about, and I didn't do much research because I want this game to stand on its own. And if you can't tell already, the visual styling of this game is absolutely absurd. We're basically in a back Tokyo street here, and we're gonna have a fight. But this game is just flair from start to finish. It does things with the camera that no fighting game has ever done before, and that's probably because you shouldn't do it. It makes the game a little bit harder to play. The camera moves around in 3D, it goes in and out. It'll basically block your face sometimes. But you see here is I'm just absolutely unloading blows on my opponent. This game is just wild, and it actually does feel like something I have played before, and that is Bariki 1 on the Hyper Neo Geo 64. This in a lot of ways feels like an unofficial sequel to this game, but you'll see there I just knocked that dude clean out with an uppercut, and we are moving right on to the next match. This game makes no sense. It is nonsensical, it is stylistically odd, and I love everything about it. This is a 10 out of 10 gold game in my book. And it is a very fun and interesting game that plays good as well. That's the thing, you might see this in photographs, you might see it in articles as a game that is strange, but I'm here to tell you that the fighting game mechanics work perfectly. All of the moves, all of the combos, the grapples, the strikes, loading up that power, it feels incredible when you're playing it, and it just happens to look incredible as well. Now mechanically, if you take a look at the bottom of the screen there, you're going to see that there's 3 different chains on each side. If you do enough damage to get past a chain on your opponent's side, that chain breaks, they stagger, and once all 3 chains are gone, you can go ahead and dispatch your opponent, in that instance with a blow all the way to the crotch. Maybe not the nicest way to finish a match, but it definitely is effective. And there's so many different characters in this game with so many different fighting styles. You're going to find 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5 mains that you really want to learn. There's different grapples, there's different martial arts, and they all kind of adhere to real world martial arts as much as I know about them, which is to say next to nothing, but I know they do exist. But as we fight here in this arena, every match is vibrant, it's fast, it's action-packed, the camera's constantly moving around in a dynamic way. It really makes you just be 100% intrigued what's going on. Now for every arena there's going to be a subway match, and I do love them as well. But if you just take a look at all of the characters, the hard shadowing on their face almost feels like it's cel shaded, and the muscles. These are not normal human physiques. Maybe somebody in the world has this physique. I certainly don't, and I'm assuming you don't either. But the style in the models, the style in the world, it's these characters that don't fit the places they're supposed to be in. Because for the most part, this just looks like a normal subway station, but the character models look absolutely absurd. And look at that guy in the foreground there. He's made out of like 8 polygons, and he looks like he has a complete blockhead. The developers and artists use all of the processing power, all of the graphical power of the PlayStation 2 to make these absolutely insane looking characters, and it works. And you'll see here as I just knock my opponent around again, there's so many different moves, there's so many different fighters you can choose from, there's different grapples, different kicks and punches. You can really set it up in the same way of something like Bariki 1, because look at this roster here. This is the second game in the franchise, but that is a stacked roster. There's so many different characters, so many different play styles, and so many different ways to have a good laugh with this game. But it also has some really interesting voice samples and a really fun soundtrack as well. So go ahead and listen for 45 seconds. I'll come back and tell you why this game is absurd.
やりたくなったらいつでも来な。ジョンジャー汗をかいた。
The soundtrack's incredible, but the sound effects are even better because those strikes sound like howitzers going off in a war zone. The bass and the impact of them really sells just how dramatic these fights really are, and that is what this game does best. It delivers drama in its screen transitions, in its fighting mechanics, but mostly in its camera angles. This is just straight drama, and all of the characters are so exaggerated, you can't help but love the game. Now here's the thing, I'm always playing against the CPU when I capture these videos because I work alone, but if you have friends that are into fighting games, you 100% have to put this on and have to show it to them and play with them, because I can assure you once you get a second human in the room, this is going to be one of the most fun fighting games you have ever played. And I will say the graphics, while being super unique, are also super nice to look at. There's nothing complex about this background, but all of these cherry blossoms blooming and falling to the ground has a very aesthetic look to it that just works for the game. And I love here Cryberry doing that basically like capoeira style leg swing there. I totally whiffed it, but it does work when you get close. But his uppercut will just absolutely destroy opponents, and that's the thing. When you're playing this game well, you can just win a match in 10 to 15 seconds based upon your timing. If you lead your character in and they leave that opening, that one uppercut's going to end the match right then and there. I will say though, this game is not without its jank. The screen transitions are definitely way too abrupt and the sound just kind of cuts off, but other than that, it's about it. This is just an incredible game, and it's one that I'm assuming most people have not going to have heard of before. Leave me a comment down below if you've ever played this game or even seen it in action, and please, please, please tell me you're going to play it after the video, because I want each and every one of you that's never experienced it before to find a way to play it, because you're never going to forget this game. It is one of those games, the minute you turn it on, you're not going to know exactly what's going on, but within 5 minutes you're going to start to like it, within 10 minutes you're going to start to love it, and within half an hour you're going to realize that it is one of the most unique fighting games that has ever been made. It definitely has some Choniki vibes in there as well. But you even have to do stuff like this. You just go into a back alley and you fight a dude in a bomber jacket. Some of the characters are just absolutely hilarious. You have one guy that looks like a professional wrestler fighting another guy that looks like he was just finishing up working on the docks, maybe hauling some cargo in. And this kind of even has some House of the Dead 2 vibes where you're kind of fighting through Italy against zombies. It just reminds me of so many things, but I just keep going back to the fact that it's so unique. This is a game that is in a genre that we've played 100 examples of before, a 3D fighting game, but within that genre it is a wholly unique experience, and it is like nothing you've ever played before. Somehow the developers took a genre we all know and love, made enough pivots to it to make it feel fresh and unique, and that formula came out and made something that feels absolutely spectacular and totally a one-off. But I'm going to give you one more sample of the soundtrack because I love it so much, and those enhanced booming bassy strikes. So go ahead and listen for like 30 seconds this time, and I'll come back, tell you more about the history of the game and why I think you should play it. But enjoy.
Excellent! Excellent なファイターです。楽しいな、おい。
Yeah, that's right. We're just gonna fight a giant teddy bear, and it kind of feels like Kuma from Tekken, except I kind of like it a little bit better, and I love as those lights from the train go through the background, it lights up the entire arena. The voice acting is great, the soundtrack is great, the blows are great. There is nothing about this game that I can critique whatsoever. And maybe it's just me. Sometimes certain people fall in love with certain games because they just hit you the right way. Garouden Breakblow, Fist or Twist is that game for me. But I think if I convinced more of you to play it, it might become that game for you as well. And that's why when I decided I wanted to do a series on PlayStation 2, I didn't just want to talk about the Tekkens of the world and the Gran Turismos of the world. I wanted to talk about the deeper cuts from the library. As PlayStation 2 was such a successful platform, there are thousands of games you can play, and there's so many games that never left Japan, and this is a perfect example of one of them. You have never played a game like this before, and if you can think of another game that it reminds you of, leave me a comment down below, because I'm not aware of it, and I will 100% play it and tell you my thoughts, because this just does it for me. But that is also because I love Bariki 1, and that does work in MAME, so if you want to check something similar to this out, definitely give that a shot as well. It's a tangent from the video, but it's just what it makes me think of. But this is the type of game, trust me. Get some friends together that like playing fighting games, make sure you got enough drinks in the room to get a little bit of a buzz on, and put this on. You're going to have a ton of fun, you're going to have a ton of laughs, and you're going to realize that mechanically, this game has some wicked deep depth to it, and that is why I love it. It's just one of those things. For every PlayStation game that everybody knows, there's a dozen PlayStation 2 games that no one has ever heard of before. In Garoden Breakblow, Fist or Twist, a mouthful to say, is an absolutely spectacular game and something that feels quintessentially PlayStation 2. But that's what I got for the video. I'll have another PlayStation 2 video next week. Go out, play this game, trust me, you'll love it. Bye bye.